beyond the skies. You and I, we're breaking bounds on Baobab.
Advertising from RAU, now University of Johannesburg. She is a talent strategist. She helps organizations hire, transform, and fully utilize their primary and most valuable asset, their people. Michelle's years on the other side of the desk as business partner to leaders and human capital executives in large corporations like Barclays Africa and Standard Bank have equipped her with fundamental perspectives on clients' challenges and the ability to deliver true business value. As partner with Jack Hammer, a global executive search firm, Africa's largest, she's found her niche, building and supporting people and business strategies for leading organizations across Africa and globally. In addition to her specialist knowledge of financial services, fintech, and digital technologies, she brings remuneration and reward expertise to all of her engagements. We have so much to learn from you, Michelle, today. I'm really happy that you're with us, and this is really inspiring. I'd like to first ask you regarding this upskilling and professional growth. So maybe how can we define upskilling, and why is it important in today's rapidly changing workplace and work environment?
Nour, thank you so much for having me today. This is some of the things that I love to do around networking and connecting with people in on our continent. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, really exciting time. It's also quite a crazy time, you know, in the professional world at the moment. I mean, upskilling really does refer to the process of acquiring new skills or improving your current skills. So really, how do you enhance your professional capabilities, and particularly, how do you adapt to a changing workplace? This really does involve continuous learning and development to stay relevant and competitive. You know, it's not the 1960s anymore. And, you know, if anything, the last couple of years have taught us is that, you know, the job market is evolving probably more rapidly than ever before. And so upskilling has become essential because of technology, industry trends, job requirements that are constantly changing. And I think, guys, without updating our skills on a continuous basis, we're going to face, you know, situations where we have reduced job opportunities or limited career growth, for that matter. So by upskilling, it really helps us expand our knowledge, stay abreast of what's happening in the world with an advancement perspective, and really just increase our value, not just for employers, but for us as individuals as well.
Yeah, this is truly amazing, of course. And maybe what are some effective strategies that we can, or approaches that we can use to identify what kind of skills we need to work on more or we need to enhance? So how can we basically know what kind of skills we can work on?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think it's important to identify the skills that need development enhancement in the first place, right? So there are a couple of strategies that you can go about just identifying those in the first place. So really conducting a really honest and authentic self-assessment, right? So reflecting on your current skill set, your strengths, your weaknesses, areas of improvement, and really considering that these skills need to align with either your career goals or the skills in demand in your industry, right? So firstly, understanding what those gaps are important. Researching, you know, the industry trends are very important. So staying informed about the latest development, emerging technologies, and changes in your field are vitally important. And again, identifying those skills that are becoming increasingly important and in high demand. The third way, you know, that you could help identify these gaps is analyzing roles or job postings, right? So go and have a look at the role descriptions of the roles that either you aspire to or are similar to the things that you want to do. Identify the common skills, qualifications that employers are seeking, and then you'll get a really good sense of what you need to either acquire or improve on. And I think lastly, getting feedback from, your mentors, your supervisors, colleagues about the areas that you can enhance are really important. Their insights can provide incredibly valuable guidance, on the skills that you should prioritize, and gives you again a 360 view, not just your own personal view, but really, a view that you can really focus on and know that it's not just you and your ideas, but really you confirmed, what's going to make most sense in terms of the skills that you need to prioritize.
Yeah, I think feedback is really important because things are rapidly changing, and we need just the feedback of the people we work with. We also need some guidance whether the skills we are actually upskilling are relevant to the field or are relevant to our, let's say, career aspirations. Of course, the next question is basically how can we juggle life and also doing upskilling? So as you know, like many of us have limited time and busy schedules. So how can we balance upskilling with our current work? So, and also our personal commitments. So are there any tips you would recommend to integrate upskilling into maybe our daily routines, where it becomes more practical, maybe, I think?
Of course, and we know we're all busy people, right? And we have multiple roles, families, friends, partners. So, it can be challenging, but there definitely are ways to integrate it into your current routine. So I think firstly, set clear goals, right? So really define the objectives for your upskilling efforts. You need to be able to break them down into smaller, manageable tasks that you can progress over time. Secondly, prioritize and schedule. Now, I think once you've identified the skills, you really need to allocate and dedicate time to learning and practice, right? So you need to treat upskilling as a real priority, block off regular time slots in your calendar for focused learning sessions. Thirdly, leveraging online resources. We're in an age where information is at our fingertips. So take advantage of online courses, webinars, tutorials, podcasts that offer flexible learning options. These resources really can be accessed anytime, so you can fit it into your schedule when it makes sense for you. I mean, in a personal story, I really wanted to understand Bitcoin. We were opening up a new part of our business in terms of recruitment, and so doing an online course, via one of the big internationals was really, really incredibly helpful to break that down. But it was something that I had to, prioritize. I needed to, make sure that I had learned to make sure I could practice accordingly. So it is important that you prioritize it accordingly. Another really interesting trend in this space is micro-learning. And micro-learning is effectively just, it constitutes learning in bite-sized chunks. So instead of dedicating long stretches of time, you can take advantage of short breaks during your day to consume any type of content or do quick exercises. And then lastly, I think the important part is to really incorporate learning into your daily activities. So look for opportunities to integrate learning into your daily routine. So listening to a podcast, for example, during your commute, or watching an instructional video while you're exercising can really, really be helpful.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning podcasts during the commute, because recently I've started to listen to some podcasts as I'm on the way back home, and it usually takes 45 minutes for me to arrive at home. So I think it's it basically changed my whole road experience. It becomes more enjoyable. And just time really passes really quickly when you're listening to something interesting or when you're using this time to work on yourself, I think. So thank you for mentioning this. Maybe also let's talk about, because I always think about this, the things we love, like in our career, versus the things we're actually good at. So there's always these two sides where many people don't know how to cross the bridge from maybe one side to another. But how can we actually cross this bridge, like between balancing things we like versus things we're good at, while also working on upskilling and working on ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think upskilling can help strike a balance between the things we love and the things that we're good at, because while we're expanding our skill sets and exploring new areas, that's going to really be helpful, right? So a couple of things we can do in order to be able to do that. So firstly, identify transferable skills. So focus on developing skills that can be applied across different roles and industries. So this really allows you to pursue opportunities that align with your passions while you can leverage your current strengths. Secondly, look at new domains. And we're seeing this more and more and more, right, where upskilling can provide opportunities into new fields or to new disciplines by really acquiring skills in those areas that interest you. And often then you can bridge that gap between your passions and your existing expertise by opening up other avenues for career growth. Lots of opportunity potentially in hybrid type of roles, again, depending what you're interested in. So upskilling in a complementary area that would enable you to pursue a hybrid role that would combine multiple skills. This way you can find balance by integrating your existing strengths with your passions, creating a unique value proposition as well. I think seeking opportunities for growth where you can actively look for projects and assignments that align with your interests while utilizing your newly acquired skills. So taking on opportunities that allow you to apply your passion, your expertise simultaneously, really. So fostering a sense of balance. I think one of the new fun, exciting things within the gig economy, and just a reminder, gig economy constitutes not having one singular kind of 8-to-5 job, but really potentially contracts, multiple roles or experiences. And this is actually what has allowed people to combine side hustles. It's called the passion economy, where micro entrepreneurs can really monetize, their individuality and their creativity. So it really kind of depends, and there's a large range. I think important finding the right balance between what you love and what you're good at might require exploration, experimentation, and a willingness to adapt as you progress your upskilling journey. So there's kind of no one size fits all. It's going to be very individual. It's going to be very individualistic in its approach, and it's going to take some time, to test as you go along. So hang in there.
Yeah, I think patience is really important when it comes to this, because we're always wanting to pursue things we like and things we're passionate about. But personally, I know from my own thesis project, it was a project I was really passionate about, but the things and circumstances around me were not allowing me to fulfill, let's say, my passion and work on the field, because it was COVID and all this. So I think the things, I wasn't good first at managing stuff, but then my passion turned this into something that I can manage, and I started to find solutions on how can I go around this. So I think, when we balance this passion with the things we're actually capable and we have access to, I think it really creates something powerful, and it really helps you basically have an, let's say, easier journey when it comes to moving with your career. And thank you for mentioning passion economies. This is a great, great terminology.
I think, no, again, there, we have to realize that change is tough. Career growth, professional movement, these things just don't happen, automatically. And so there is a level of effort and process and the ability to adapt and change if those things don't work, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely, you can't be sitting somewhere where it just doesn't make sense if, the world has changed around you. So absolutely.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about this, like the word changing and in a bit, but I think, having this flexibility allows you to explore new options, allows you to become more open to opportunities as they come towards you as well. Maybe now we can talk about something very important. I think it's the power of networking. So we talked about upskilling and learning new skills and what it takes to do that. So maybe now we can talk more about how does networking contribute to this professional growth and career advancement, and maybe what are some strategies that we can employ to expand our professional connections.
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think networking is, again, a fundamental part of your professional character, even your personal character, right? And networking really does play a significant role in the growth and advancement of your career. And I can talk about this from a really personal perspective as well. So firstly, the first thing is why is it important? Well, opportunities, right? Networking really helps you uncover opportunities that you may never have even had an opportunity to see. So they wouldn't have been advertised publicly. And by expanding your professional connections, you can really increase the chances of hearing about projects, collaborations, career-enhancing prospects, other job openings. And I mean, this is exactly what happened to me when, and this is how I joined Standard Bank coming out of contingency recruitment. I had an ex-colleague who I was still incredibly close to, who had moved into that business. I approached her, I said I wanted to go into banking, and that's how I got the introduction into the business. So absolutely would never have gotten that opportunity via any other way. Some other really important things on why networking is so important. So it gives you a level of knowledge and insight. So through networking, you can really connect with professionals who possess valuable knowledge. You know, they have insights into their field. They've probably been doing this for many, many, many years. You know, and engaging in conversations with people like this really allows you to learn from their experiences, gain their insights, and stay up to date with what is happening right now. Understanding trends and best practices are vital, extremely vital. You know, again, we come back to mentorship and guidance. You know, networking really provides access to mentors and experienced professionals who can help guide you and support you in your career journey. And I know many people who will have 2 or 3 different types of mentors. Or, you know, one senior executive, one someone who's really technical, maybe someone who's really emotionally and commercially strong in another space. So, you know, building these networks around yourself so that you can access them and help you navigate challenges and make informed decisions is really incredible. And then I think the last thing is around really being able to build a reputation, right? When you network effectively, you're really going to be establishing a positive professional reputation within your industry and field. And those connections can vouch for your skills, your work ethic, your credibility. And this again can lead to increased visibility, recognition, and future opportunities. Direct referrals from people who know you will supersede any introduction that you'll receive from anyone, even an executive recruiter like me, anyone else. They know you and you can be referred in. It's gold, absolute gold.
Yeah, I agree with that. I super agree with that. And I also like how you talked about the power of the team and it being diverse, because we need people who know technical stuff. We need people who maybe are more into the research aspect of things. And I think this is very powerful when it comes to building communities and not only careers. I think in building communities of change, we need to have people who have different career academic backgrounds come together to form this kind of growth in a certain aspect. So yeah, this is really, really important.
No, and I would even go as far as saying when you're approaching mentors, I mean, often there'll be people who we've connected to in some way or shape or form, and that's fantastic. But also question yourself on the people you're approaching, right? So, you know, you want people who are doing things that you aspire to do, not that are doing this already. If you're going to keep yourself in this small space, you know, you want people who are going to offer you, like you say, a diverse opinion, who are going to help you with things that you are not good at, potentially. So really think about those mentors being quite different to who you are and potentially what your strengths are.
Yeah, and also not being afraid to ask, I think, is a really important thing. Like when someone said, like when I was joining a new career, he said to me, like, don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, you need to ask questions because it's something new and you don't know much about it. So also there's this aspect of curiosity and always asking questions. I think at the first, when you join a career or when you at least shift maybe your career. So there are new things that you must learn. I think, yeah, curiosity is very important as well, as you said. So I have an interesting question now, and something I don't really, let's say, know about, but I'm really interested about knowing. So it's how, the artificial intelligence and the AI, and you talked about the world changing and the trends in career, everything is shifting really, really fast. So how can we understand this integration of artificial intelligence in the career world, and how does it impact recruitment from your own experience? Maybe I'd like to know about that.
Absolutely correct. Is here, is happening. It's not even a distant thought anymore. I mean, I think some of the significant impacts on how AI has transformed a recruitment process is a couple of ways. So firstly, it's driven to automate screening and selection, right? So it's AI-powered algorithms and software that's going to analyze a large volume of resumes and applications so they can screen out and help the human recruiters save time. What is important then to keep in mind is you want to make sure that your profile is not screened out unnecessarily, right? And so again, what does AI do? It enhances the candidate matching, because what AI does is it analyzes the role profile or the role job requirements and your profile and identifies the best match. So what it's going to assess and look for is words that are similar from a skill perspective, experiences, and a qualification perspective, right? And that's going to help predict suitability for a role. Again, they're trying to drive efficiency and accuracy. You're also getting AI-powered chatbots now and virtual assistants who are sometimes handling initial candidate interactions, so frequently asked questions, providing information about the company or the recruitment process. Again, this is about managing and experience, really streamlining the experience from a company perspective. I think importantly here is that AI is going to be based to conduct the skills assessment, analyze the data, and predict performance. And what's important here is to make sure that you have the right words. So if you're applying to a role profile and the words in the role profile are not in your CV, clearly, you will not get through these initial stages. You won't even have an opportunity to explain to anyone how awesome you are. So it's important to make sure that your profile, your CV, whatever you're attaching, is relevant to the role you're applying for. I think another good thing with AI systems is that there is meant to be a bias reduction, right? So they really are making decisions on objective criteria, like qualifications, as opposed to subjective factors. But again, important that those AI algorithms are designed accordingly to mitigate those biases. But yeah, absolutely important to keep in mind, because the majority, anything that you're applying to on an online platform, in most likelihood has an initial AI screening.
Yeah. So reading the job description and tailoring our CVs or our resumes based on the skills maybe they asked for in the job description. So this is one way to go about it, because I know we don't want to end up not having our profile screened. So how can we basically manage this from a company's perspective? So can we basically read job descriptions? Can we do other stuff to just tailor our CVs accordingly?
I mean, okay. I think importantly, if you have very few of the skills required for the job, the reality, it's probably not the job you should be applying for.
Of course.
So a level of, again, self-assessment, and again, these are the reasons why we have AI-powered processes like this, because a role on LinkedIn could get anywhere between 300 and 600 applications at any point. So, you need to consider what's going to get me to the front of that application line. So in my mind, I would always have a standard CV or a standard profile. And then depending on the roles, and again, if you can hack the system in a way to make sure that you're applying for roles that you are relevant for, and therefore you've written your profile accordingly, you're just making yourself, more relevant for the role.
Yeah.
But I think if you are going to be kind of, if more than, I think if more than 30 or 40% of the role is not something you have, move on.
Yeah, of course. It's basically, just as we said, something we're good at versus something we're passionate, and how to balance the two together in a way that is also AI read, and we need to also take care and be aware of the new trends emerging. And I'd like to also ask, if there are some emerging trends or competencies in the workplace that we should be aware of, other than the AI system. Is there specific maybe competencies that we should know about as we apply to a job or as we think of a job?
Absolutely. I think you can look at skills in kind of three sets: human skills, business enabling skills, and digital literacy. These are the three buckets, right? That any role you apply for, any role on the planet, is going to need some level of combination of these three, right? So first and foremost, digital literacy and technology proficiency isn't a nice to have anymore. It is a vitally important skill. So really having, being able to use technology tools and platforms is crucial. We're talking about productivity software, data analysis tools, data-driven tech, and data-driven commercial decision-making is the way of the future, regardless of what job you're in. Collaboration platforms, and again, really understanding emerging technologies like AI, automation, and blockchain that impact your space, because things are happening so quickly.
Yeah.
Another big trend, obviously, is remote and flexible work skills. So again, COVID-19, we know, accelerated everything across the world, remote and flexible working arrangements. Again, having the skills to actually effectively work remotely is a skill.
Yeah.
Again, utilize virtual collaboration tools, manage virtual teams, potentially in other parts of, your country or other parts of the world. And demonstrating a strong self-motivation, time management skills, again, become really essential. You don't have a boss who's going to walk around you because you're not sitting at a desk in an office. Thirdly, adaptability and resilience. And, I think we've spoken about, the new generations really have had multiple changes and multiple global issues. Guys, it's not changing anytime soon. Get used to it. So just given the rapid pace of change, being adaptable and resilient is crucial. You need to be able to embrace change. You need to be able to learn quickly. You need to be able to learn new skills quickly, new technologies, and really be able to navigate challenging situations and uncertainty. Fourthly, emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills. So keep in mind, as automation takes over, the demand for skills that are uniquely human are going to be important, right?
Yeah,
emotional intelligence, empathy, effective communication, collaboration, creativity. These skills are essential for building strong relationships, leading people and teams, and just navigating, I think, complex social dynamics, because, we're not just working, in the same environments anymore. And then, like I said earlier, on data literacy and analysis, right? So again, with the abundance of data that we have, businesses are moving more and more towards a data-driven business commerciality, right? So the ability to analyze, interpret, and really draw insights from data is going to be extremely valuable. Again, data visualization, statistical analysis, and again, being able to make data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift in how organizations have driven. I've got two more really important.
Wow, I love these insights. Keep them coming.
Sustainability and environmental awareness. We are seeing more and more of this every single day. Organizations are taking this incredibly seriously. So again, having the knowledge and understanding what sustainable practices are, green technologies, environmental regulations across all industries, folks. This is, relevant for everyone. And then I think the last one, which we kind of touched on based on this conversation we've been having for the last 35 minutes, is really having a lifelong learning mindset. You know, learning isn't something anymore where we go in, learn something, get the qualification, apply, right? We really need to be in a space where continuous learning, upskilling is becoming really a fundamental skill to stay relevant, right? And what is, again, an ever-evolving job market. So embracing this mindset of lifelong learning, being open to new knowledge and experiences, proactively seeking, you know, new opportunities to learn is really going to be important for a, you know, an ongoing successful career over the next couple of decades, for certain.
Yeah, wow. These are such valuable insights, I think, and there's so much to learn from this mindset that you described, that lifelong learning, because I think it's so important. Also, when it comes to manage, like you said, our human capabilities with the automation and everything going on. So I think embracing our human also capabilities, our skills, our ways of dealing and communicating with people is really important in our careers, but also in our personal life with everything going on. So thank you so much for mentioning all of this. I wanted to ask the last question before maybe taking more questions from the audience. You can type whatever you want in the chat box. We have some questions, but please, like, feel free to ask anything. I wanted to ask about the advice, but I think you already gave so much of advice. But maybe specifically advice to people who are shifting careers, like who are going from one career to another. Because I personally went through this my own when I moved from filmmaking as my undergraduate into anthropology, which is the study of people and the research and all of that as my master's degree. So shifting from this to this was really hard. At first. First, academically, it was hard because there were courses I didn't take before. Mentorship was amazing. I had an amazing mentor and an amazing program that mentored me. This was really helpful. And I also think personally a skill I used was just reading so much about everything and being open to meeting people and discussing with them, meeting people from my new career aspiration, let's say, and discussing with them conversations. Also accessing resources online was really helpful for me. But maybe any advice from you for people who really want to change or make a career shift, what they should be maybe expecting as they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a couple of pieces of advice here. You know, and you've mentioned it, you did exactly the same thing. Conduct your research. You really need to fundamentally understand the career field you're interested in. You need to understand what skills, what qualification, what knowledge. You need to understand the trends, the job markets, the demands, and the growth. You need to be 100% clear about what you're potentially getting yourself into, right? Secondly, you need to identify transferable skills. So again, assessing your current skills and identifying transferable skills that would be valuable in a new career field. So, you know, what can be applied in different industries and different roles, things like communication, problem solving, leadership skills, project management, analytical skills. These things are relevant in every role, right? Bridging that skills gap. So once you've identified the skills that you need for this new career field, you need to understand what the gaps are, right? So where you currently are versus desired, and then look for those opportunities that are going to help you to upskill and acquire new knowledge. And again, those could be online courses, certifications, workshops, vocational training programs. I think you need to consider both formal and informal learning options here and do as much as you possibly can. Seeking experiential learning opportunities, so practical experience is always going to be invaluable when you're trying to transition into a new career. And I know that can be really tough. How do you get into a new environment if you don't have the skills to be able to show that you've got the skills to do the job? Yeah. So you need to look for opportunities, right, that are going to, you know, that are going to let you get hands-on experience through internships, volunteer work, freelancing, taking on projects that align with your target career, but, maybe, you're doing on the side. Again, this is going to help you build a portfolio of demonstratable abilities in a potential new field. Obviously, leveraging your networks and your mentors. Again, this is the great reason to have people in your space. Network with professionals who are in your desired career field, right? So you might not be there yet, but ask them again, insights, advice, potential opportunities. Seek mentorship from people who have successfully transitioned in the field that you're targeting. So look for people who have done the same thing and ask them how they did it. Again, their guidance and support is going to be really important in navigating this transition. And I think lastly, again, it talks to staying adaptable and being persistent, guys. Transitioning to a new career field is going to be challenging, and there are going to be many setbacks. Nour said this wasn't easy, right? So you've got to stay adaptable. You've got to embrace a growth mindset. You've got to be persistent in pursuing your goals. And you need to recognize that this transition may take time and effort, but with dedication and continuous learning, you could make the switch. So, hang in there, do the hard work, spend the time.
Michelle, thank you. This is amazing. Everything you mentioned, all the advice, all the insights. Thank you really so much. And I think, yes, informal education has really changed so much also on how people connect from different places in the world together. It has brought people together in volunteer programs or in workshops, seminars. I know from myself, there's a big seminar that they do every year. It's called Why the World Needs Anthropologists. And it's just amazing. It brings people who do anthropology, but are from very different fields, like people who do medical anthropology, visual, economic anthropology, people basically from different walks of life. And they just gather and they talk and they share ideas. And you never know how much you learn from these kind of talks. I think it's gonna beat formal education, or at least it's on the way, because it's really inspiring to just meet people and connect and share knowledge and inspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Human connection is the primary reason why we're all here, right? And no amount of automation and AI is ever going to change that. Yeah. But it's important that we're kind of moving with it, right? Otherwise, we might be in trouble.
Of course. Maybe we can start taking questions and insights from the audience. So I think the first question is from Roddick, and the question is, hello everyone, Ms. Michelle said that we must learn through webinars, tutorials, and online courses. So I want to know, what about the students who come from poor families and don't have wireless or money to buy regularly data? I think it's talking about the issue of accessibility to data, let's say, or the internet, or even resources present online. So how can we maybe work about this in ways, if you can have some insights about that?
Yeah, guys, I think there are practical issues around any upskilling, right? Because regardless of whether or not you have money or access, the levels in which are always different. So I think the less access you have, and, this is exactly why I guess places like the MasterCard Foundation exists, and why we do work like this, is so that we can offer, I guess, as much opportunity with free resources. So guys, I understand that data can be tricky, and I understand money and cash is tricky, but the reality is that there are a lot of free resources available on the internet if you're willing to spend the time and access. And without a doubt, this does take effort. But I think there are many situations here where, you can connect with people without it being expensive. But yes, I guess having an accessibility to a level of technology is going to be part and parcel, a requirement of interaction going forward. So, I understand that there are challenges around it.
Yeah. Speaking of challenges, we have another question from David. He's asking, what are some of the biggest obstacles one can see to upskilling, and how can they be overcome?
I mean, so I think one of the big obstacles are exactly what's mentioned, right? So what I want to do versus what I can afford to do. What I want to do versus how much time I have to do it. What I want to do versus how much capability I have. So there could be numerous scenarios here around that. I think the purpose of upskilling is to be practical. You know, I mean, I think we could all live in a la-la land to say, well, I mean, I'd love to be an astronaut, but no level of upskilling is going to give me that level of capability, right? So I think you need to look around what's, you know, what do you have access to? What resources do you have? What's available to you? How you could get other solutions offered to you, and then how you are going to work those options and resources. Guys, the big overcoming situation here is about the individuals who actually do the upskilling themselves. How much effort and how much time you're going to put into this in a really smart, practical way.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's another question from Nour. She's saying, thank you for this fruitful discussion. I have one question, maybe it's specific. Is PMP, project management professional, known worldwide? Actually, I work as a program coordinator in the humanitarian field after doing my master's in rural community development. So someone advised me to do the PMP exam to get a PMP certificate, but I'm wondering if it's known worldwide.
As far as I'm aware, no, it is known worldwide. Again, I think this is very important in terms of your research, right? So, you know, just doing a qualification to do a qualification, you really understand, what am I going to do with this? Is it valuable? What, you know, how does this really align again with my skills and a potential role? It's not about just getting a PMP, right? It's about what value is it going to add to me? Is it going to add value in my current role? Is it going to add value in a role that I want going forward? But again, like I said, I think this type of research is very, very important. What's local, and again, guys, a certificate, a degree, a qualification does not get you a job. What this shows is either a certain skill set or the ability to do a job end to end, right? Gets you in the door, it gets you as a basic, minimum criteria to apply for a job. But it doesn't guarantee an outcome. So I think that's important. You need to have many, many, many things that connect with a PMP, for example, in order to qualify for a role. It's not just going to be one thing or the other that's going to, push you forward. And you're going to have to be specific.
Yeah. Angela is adding a comment. I would also add that young people take advantage of public spaces with open internet connections. Malls, restaurants, universities, there you have unlimited internet to do your research and attend events like this one. So I think, like utilizing public spaces gives us maybe power, when it also gives us the capacity to meet people in certain areas or maybe in the same field as ours. So I appreciate the comment, Angela. And there are really great also comments. So Caroline is saying, I really appreciate the knowledge I have gained. Margaret Ando says, it seems Michelle has touched on all the questions I had. Thanks for such insightful lessons. Almas is saying, thank you for the invaluable tips. Such a great learning points from Angela. Stanley saying, powerful presentation indeed. So there's really, I'm glad that we got together today to just discuss this, because it's such a beautiful thing to just help each other out when it comes to careers, or when it comes to knowing what skills we need for what kind of jobs. So we have one question also from Angela. She's saying, how do we deal with the differences in work expectations between young and older generations? I love this question.
Such a loaded question.
Yeah, I love it.
How do we
How can we answer it?
And Angela, I mean, I hope I'm reading your question, because I think this, like I said, I mean, that in itself, you know, generational work expectations, we could probably spend an hour on each, right? Because you're absolutely correct. There are vast differences. I think it's not just about generations, but understanding that our social environments are far more complex than they've ever been. And not just from a generation perspective, but from a gender perspective, from a country perspective. You know, we're working with people that we never would have worked with, you know, 10 years ago, because we just have a huge amount of access. So I think understanding, again, and there's this level, this is that human skill that we spoke about earlier, right? And this also often also comes with experience, right? Understanding how to work with diverse individuals, and understanding the different generations, right? And you're going to see a lot of that. I think, importantly, we are going to move to a space where a combination of the important parts of these are going to be very important. So, you know, we need kind of all of these generational drivers and people to work together in a way that makes sense, because they're focusing on a common goal, not because they're different in the process of doing it. So having those abilities and capabilities to deal, again, with diverse colleagues, diverse customers, diverse clientele, you know, again, a very important skill for anyone in the professional world to have, anyone really, in any job.
Yeah, of course. We have a question also from David. Okay, thank you, Michelle, for the insightful lessons. In upskilling with an employee mindset or an employer mindset, at what point should we consider one or both?
Just read that again for me. Yeah. Where did that question come from?
From David. In upskilling. In upskilling with an employee mindset or an employer mindset, at what point should we consider one or both? I think he's talking about having the employer mindset versus having the employee mindset. And at what point should we consider one or both?
I think you need to consider both at all times, right? You have to consider both at all times, because it's an ecosystem. One doesn't operate without the other. So you need to be able to look at it from multiple views. You need to be able to look at it from yours in and from theirs out. If that doesn't align, then you're not going to come right.
Thank you. Also, we have a question from David Aruma. How do you typically go about building your professional network, and what strategies have been most effective? Thank you. So it's about building professional network and the strategies to do that. I think we touched on some of those.
Yeah, I think we covered quite a covered a portion of this, and no, I'm happy to make this content available to anyone who's registered, that we can go over.
Yeah, and we also recorded the session, so it's
amazing.
Available for everyone online after a certain period of time, hopefully.
Yeah. David, so just quickly, high level, we spoke about some of the strategies. So attending industry events and conferences, very important. Joining professional organizations and associations that are relevant. Again, these platforms will often offer networking events into communities that connect like-minded professionals. Utilizing online platforms, again, you're getting incredible platforms like LinkedIn, which connect professionals in your industry. So again, you can engage in discussions, share insights. Again, you've got to be engaged, right? You've got to be part of this ecosystem. Yeah, again, volunteering or participating in community activities where you could build and meet professionals, but based on your shared interests and personal values. And I think the most important thing with how do you build your network, your network is not about making initial connections. This is a lifetime of cultivating and maintaining relationships over a period of time. So staying in touch with your connections, offering assistance to them when possible, and being proactive around how you provide support and value to others in your network. So it's important. A network is a mutually beneficial relationship between individuals. not where one party gets to, engage, take, and the others don't. So that's what networking is going to be important for. So again, nurturing relationships. This doesn't take 5 minutes. It takes long periods of time. And I guess as you gather friends and family, it's very similar. You gather them as your career expands over a period of time.
We have a question from Angela. Speaking of sustainability for businesses, could you please share some questions that young people can ask during interviews about such issues, as well as diversity questions?
Mm-hmm. So sustainability, I'm assuming we're talking about environmental sustainability. So guys, usually sustainability goals are quite openly available in terms of
specifically for businesses.
Yeah, particularly for businesses. So generally their sustainability goals, because they are governed, generally have to be quite available to the public. So you have an opportunity. So firstly, whenever you're speaking to an organization, if you haven't researched that business and everyone else in the competitive landscape and really know what's going on, you should only ever be asking questions about things that are not available in the public domain. So research first. If you are then asking questions, make sure you understand, this is what I've seen, this is what I've researched. Can you tell me more about X? I'm really interested in it for the following reasons. I think it's important for the following reasons. Be open, be authentic, ask questions. There is nothing wrong with this. These are very, very important questions to ask. Diversity, be specific. I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Angela, in terms of diversity. Are you asking, tell me about the diversity of your business? Absolutely relevant question. Completely okay. Guys, I think it's important in any meeting, in any interview, in any connection, is to have an open, authentic, transparent conversation. Any meeting like this is an opportunity not just for, the other person to gain information, but also for you. So you need to take that opportunity. It's not a one-sided meeting, right? Interviews even are not one-sided. It's as much of an opportunity for you to make sure that the fit is correct. So make sure that you've done your research ahead of time. Understand what is important to me personally to understand about this business, professionally, environmentally, from a diversity perspective, whatever the case may be, what's important to me. And then if that information is not available in a public scenario, then ask the questions and explain what's important to you. It will be good to, again, create connection. You want to work with organizations and businesses that have similarities to you, values, experiences, the same goals around sustainability, for example.
Yeah, this is really important. I think we have a capacity for one more question. It's from Almaz. She's asking, is it okay that we ask the employer to share what realms he or she recommends that we ace at, like sharing the titles or terms so that we would research on our own? Thank you. So is it okay to reach out to our employer and ask basically what kinds of realms we must be knowledgeable at, let's say, or we must ace in a specific field?
Mm-hmm. So again, I'm not sure about the question, whether or not that's like you're currently employed and you're wanting to ask your current employer, how do I do better? I think, learning and development is, again, a really important part of the employee experience. It's become in my mind, again, continuous learning, upskilling within an organization is important. When you've got gaps, why not upskill your current people as opposed to hiring externally all the time? But this is important that the individual, so almost you as the employee, any employee needs to understand that your future career is in your hands, and it is your job to make sure that you ask and you go and look for the right opportunity. So yes, asking your employer around, I'm skilled in this, I'd love to do that, help me create a successful, development journey. That's important. That's an important part of the employer-employee relationship. Very important. But again, almost this does, at the end of the day, come down to the individual, not the organization. Right. So you need to drive it. You are the captain of the ship. No one is going to do this for you. No one is going to give you you know, the checklist and say, go and do these 20 things and then, you know, you'll get this job. That's not going to happen. At least not in my experience.
Michelle, thank you so much. I think if we had more time, we would keep on talking and talking about this, because your insights are very valuable and they're very relevant to what's happening nowadays and to our own career paths, as diverse as they may be. So I think every one of us here today took something with them, and this is the beauty of gathering together and the beauty of talking about this. So thank you again and again. I really appreciate your time and effort to come and share with us your experience today. And we have so many beautiful comments from the audience. I also want to thank them for their time and their questions, their insights. They added so much to the conversation, and I'm really happy we kind of connected today. So I want to leave the floor to you if you have any final comment or maybe any insight. So the floor is yours before we finish today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely love stuff like this. So it is as much fun for me as hopefully it's been for you. And thank you for the great comments. I think folks, just, you know, you've got to approach this with a level of grit and resilience around, you know, any goal around changing your life, whether it's for whatever better reason. So hang in there, do the research, set out the goals, set it up, and just really take the time and put in the effort. It will work at the end of the day. And if it's not, change it, do something else, you know. And I've had the best time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. And have a lovely evening. Have a lovely rest of the day for everyone, wherever you might be. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Thanks,
Michelle.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Beyond the skies, you and I.